Keir Starmer, is there any substance to what he said about Britain weaning itself off from immigration dependency when it comes to Labour?
Yeah, good afternoon, Padre. I think the difficulty we've got in the UK, and remember now, we saw a huge explosion of people coming into the country over the last 10 or 20 years, especially when kind of the accession countries joined the EU, and we didn't kind of have that temporary block like some other EU countries did in terms of them coming in. And that has had a downward pressure on wages. We saw a lot of people coming in. And what you tended to find over the last, say, 20 years is that you've got immigrants who are coming in who are better qualified in the jobs that they're doing, but they're happy to take lower paid jobs because they're still better off when you compare to the wages back home. But I think what we got to do is look forward now. And the UK is in a position now where over the next 10, 20 years, we're going to have about 3.5 million more people of pensionable age. We've seen a fall in the birth rate the last 20 years as well. So you kind of need at least 2.1 children for every family to replace those who are going to die at some point. And the total fertility rate is not at that point. It's about 1.55. So we haven't had enough births. So we're going to hit the point, actually, Patrick, over the next 10 or 20 years that without actually immigration, we won't have enough people of working age to actually pay the taxes. Because remember, what the government doesn't do, it doesn't plan for the future. It doesn't put aside money to pay for pensions of people who are going to be in the future or plan for the NHS in the future. It's the taxpayers of today who pay the pensioners of today. So we have got this ticking time bomb, actually, that because we had a lack of births over the last 10 or 20 years, and that's projected to continue, without immigration, Patrick, we won't actually have enough people to pay the taxes, to pay for the cost of all the elderly people we will have.
The solution, therefore, may well be, in order to reduce our need for cheap foreign labour, is shove a bit of Viagra in the water and we'll all reproduce a little bit more. Maybe that will work out a little bit better, although not without its controversies, one would imagine. But do you actually believe Keir Starmer when he talks about this? Because this is the big issue, isn't it? Not so long ago, he was talking about, well, pretty much open borders. I mean, he was Mr. EU, and now all of a sudden it's about British workers, training up British workers, stop our dependency on foreign labour. Is he lying?
Well, it's good sound bites, isn't it? But you're talking about it. The newspapers will be talking about it. He can say, this is what my plan is if we win the next election. He's obviously trying to win back those voters who voted for Brexit, who'd saying take control of our borders, people who perhaps went over to kind of Nigel Farage's Brexit party in the past, trying to bring those ones back by saying, I'm going to be tough on immigration. But remember now, David Cameron was saying exactly the same. All politicians across different parties have been saying they're going to be tough on things for about a decade or 20 years now, Patrick, and they haven't been. So I think, do we believe what he's saying? I don't believe what he's saying. He's just saying these sound bites to get that kind of headline. So when it comes to the election, he can say, this is what I will do. And then when he gets into power, if he's there, he'll say, oh, it's a bit more difficult than I thought.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much no plan whatsoever to deal with illegal immigration. He's saying that we need to train up British workers. Oh, by the way, I'm bang in favour of that, don't get me wrong. And he says that we need to reduce our dependency on immigration labour. But actually, realistically, I think we can all agree that there's quite little substance to that. And the big problem for British society as well, you look over the other benches, the Tories don't seem too hot on it either. But thank you very much. Oh, and well done, by the way, Jamie. Decent result last night, that, against the United States of America. Well done.